My name is JD D'Alfonso, the President and CEO of the Peoria Area Convention Visitors Bureau, also known as Discover Peoria. Really want to welcome everybody here today for a wonderful announcement and a kickoff for the next decade of work that we'll be doing here to showcase our great home of the Greater Peoria area. We're going to talk a little bit more of those details, but really what I want you to take away from these first remarks is what you will see here today is a collaborative effort of multiple organizations that represent the entire region for the greater goodness of our entire 7-county region that you'll see here today, to showcase why it is a great place to live, work, and play right here in Central Illinois. We've talked about it multiple times. For hundreds of years, people have chosen this destination to live and enjoy their lives. And here, we're looking to do that once again in a more substantial and strategic way among multiple organizations such as the Convention Visitors Bureau, our Economic Development Council, CEO Council, Chamber of Commerce, and our regional chambers of commerce that you'll see here today as well. So I'm really proud of the organizations and the staffs that have come together in the preliminary efforts to put forth this campaign that will not just last for the next year, but will sustain for a decade ahead of time. We've just completed the 2020 census, and we're looking to 2030 already. So with that, I can't help but say thank you once again to our host, John Morris, and his venue here, which is one of a kind in itself. Thank you, John, for your hosting hospitality here, too. Today, you'll be hearing from my good esteemed colleague, Joshua Gunn, President of the Peoria Area Chamber of Commerce and CEO Council, Amy Whiting-McCoy, Executive Director of the Pekin Area Chamber of Commerce, Chris Setti, President and CEO of the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council, and Randy McDaniels, President of McDaniels Marketing, home in Pekin, Illinois. The Greater Peoria area spans 8 counties, and this campaign will bridge many of our efforts and communities from the urban streets of Peoria to the duck blinds of Havana in ways that have never been done before. So we're excited to kick off this long-awaited campaign, which will highlight our community as a truly special place to live, work, and grow, not just personally, but also professionally. And so without further ado, we're going to get into some of the details, and I'm going to welcome up my friend and colleague, Joshua Gunn, President of the Chamber of Commerce and CEO Council.
Thank you. Thanks, JD. What's up, Greater Peoria? How we doing? This is a beautiful day. As always, you can thank the Chamber of Commerce for the weather, so you're welcome. And this is by far one of the most exciting things I've had a chance to participate in my 1 year at the Chamber here in Peoria. I have quickly become passionate about this region, and this project will enable all of us to share our passion and all the great things that we know about Peoria with the rest of the world. So I've got some notes here. I typically don't use talking points, but my team has told me to stay on book, so I'm going to do my best to stay on topic. Let's get this slideshow popping. Okay. So why Greater Peoria 2030? Well, the first part of that question I need to answer is why the Greater Peoria? Well, we are a region, and we believe that we're stronger together, right? And I think one of the beautiful things about this effort is it's truly a collaboration. We have many of the municipalities in this region represented in this effort, as well as all of the chambers and economic development organizations throughout this amazing Peoria region represented. But why are we doing this project? Well, we saw the 2020 census, and did I go back? Okay, sorry guys. I promise I know how to work PowerPoint. We saw the 2020 census numbers, and in my opinion, they were alarming, right? We're losing population in the state of Peoria, in the state of Illinois. And the Peoria region is certainly losing population as well. But instead of dwelling on the sort of alarming nature of that, we see that as an opportunity. This is the best time to be in Peoria, Illinois, and this is our moment to seize the momentum that we've already started to build here in this community. And what that data gives us is some metrics to work from, right? A baseline to begin our efforts in bettering and growing this region. The loss in population, why does that matter, right? Sometimes we think it doesn't matter if we lose population, right? It's great. Maybe it's an easier commute to work, and maybe there's less traffic on the roads, but that impacts our economy in many ways. That means we're losing workforce, we're losing talent, and ultimately losing revenue and momentum for our city. So we want to get ahead of this. And once again, I want to share that is a major opportunity, and I could not be more excited to be in Peoria in this moment. So we think that one of the reasons why Peoria is perfectly positioned to benefit from the current state of our country is that large metro areas are starting to decline, and people are recognizing that, maybe due to COVID and other things, maybe it's not that nice to live in a 400 square foot box with 2,000 of your closest friends next door, and maybe the high traffic and declining quality of life in overcrowded cities is not the best way that we could live. And we know that the way that we can live here in Peoria is far better than that, and we believe that Peoria positions ourselves well in terms of affordability and just an overall quality of life. So we think Greater Peoria 2030 is the perfect campaign to help build on that momentum. So what is Greater Peoria 2030? As JD mentioned, it's a collaborative effort between many key stakeholders in this community, and we're taking a three-pronged approach to growing the population in the Peoria region. The first part of that strategy is welcome and retention, right? I want to underscore that this is not just about attracting people here. It's also about keeping the great and wonderful people that we already have in Peoria. So we want to build a concentrated campaign around welcome and retention. But we also know that keeping the people we here is not going to be enough to stem the tide of population decline, and we know that we can grow our region through a national marketing campaign, and we're thrilled to have McDaniel leading the way on that campaign. This takes a lot of passion, this takes a lot of expertise, and it's great to have a local firm right here in Pekin who understands all the value that we have to offer in the Central Illinois region, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have you on board leading this charge. So marketing is the second prong, and the third is thinking differently about how we might incentivize talent to move here to Peoria, right? It's a competitive world. The best and brightest individuals can choose to live anywhere that they want, and we want to remind them Peoria is the best place for them to live, but we also want to think differently about how we might incentivize them to make that choice on their own. So, lots of partners in this effort. You see many of them represented here: Discover Peoria, the Chamber, Greater Peoria Economic Development Council, the CEO Council, Pekin Area Chamber, the Morton Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Development Corporation, and the East Peoria Chamber of Commerce are all represented. And this might not be a big deal to you guys, but can we just clap for the amount of collaboration that's happening with all of the organizations in the Peoria region? I promised I wouldn't get off book, but I think I did. But I just think so often we can fall into our silos and we can work separately, but we know that the strength of this region really is that collaboration and innovation that is born out of that collaboration, and you're seeing that represented on this slide. So super thrilled about what's to come, and you'll hear more about this regional effort, but here's a picture of what we consider the Greater Peoria region, right? Sometimes we think about our neighborhoods and where we live, but it's a big region with a lot of diversity in every possible way: geographic diversity, ethnic diversity, gender diversity, business diversity, from agriculture to innovation. We are the greatest region in the state of Illinois, and our plan is to build that region and make it the greatest place to live in the Midwestern United States. So I am super excited about this effort. Thank you all for being here. It will take all of your energy and collaboration, but the last thing that I will say is this is the most important thing for us to do for the future of Illinois. We have to get in front of this population decline. We have to grow this region, cultivate a future where we can begin to say, like John Morris loves to say, this is the greatest city in the world, and we're fortunate to be here, so let's bring along other people with us. Thank you very much, and without further ado, please welcome the CEO of the Pekin Area Chamber of Commerce, Amy McCoy.
Thank you, Joshua. And I certainly agree with John Morris. Peoria is a great community, but I also feel that we are all a part of a greater region. So this is Greater Peoria. The Greater Peoria area consists of an 8-county region: Peoria, Tazewell, Woodford, Fulton, Mason, Logan, Stark, and Marshall counties. Each one of our communities and each one of our counties is unique, has a unique fabric, which means our area has much to offer our residents and newcomers alike. Each community has its own assets, and we are excited to be able to promote those as well. The Pekin Area Chamber of Commerce is proud to represent the region in this project today, And we're proud to be participating partner in the vital efforts to grow our area, because what is good for any one village, city, or county is good for all collectively. Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce the CEO of the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council, Chris Setti.
Good afternoon. This is usually the economic development guy takes credit for the weather, but Joshua beat me to it. So first, before I start, I'm always off book, so I don't even know why they give me speaking notes. But I just wanted a thank you to the elected officials in the room, and I actually only see two. There may be more, but I think this is great and indicative of the collaboration. We have Gary Muneer, the mayor of Washington, sitting one seat over from Andre Allen, 4th District Councilman for the city of Peoria. If there's others that are here in the room, I appreciate your involvement as well. But that's a great example of how this effort isn't about one neighborhood, one city, one county, but the entire region. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the goals of this. So we kind of have some broad goals. We called it 2030 for a reason, because we know we're not going to get there right away. This is a long-term strategy and an effort we're asking all of you to join us in. So our overall goals, obviously, and Joshua said it best, is really about increasing the population. Earlier today, I had a chance to participate in the symposium put on by Bradley University on the innovation ecosystem, and the main speaker was Suzanne Clark, who is the CEO of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. She actually said it's the 6th time she's been in Peoria, and she absolutely loves Peoria, and she says she doesn't know why more people don't live here, especially now in the environment that we're in, where you can live, you can work from anywhere. The quality of our park districts, the quality of our life in general, is something that we really need to be able to highlight. With that comes business attraction as well. So we do a lot of work in business attraction. When you attract people, you can also be attracting businesses. Sometimes you might be attracting entrepreneurs to a region, and they'll bring with them their jobs and their ideas. We always want to make sure that we're highlighting the great things that this region has to offer. But maybe most importantly is being able to communicate what is great about this region to the people who already live here. We are our own best ambassadors, and sometimes we are our own worst enemies in the way we talk about the community that we live in and that we choose to live in. I moved here 18 years ago on purpose, and I love this region. And so we need to be able to communicate a positive message to the people that live here, so that because they are going to be ultimately our best ambassadors. No offense to Randy and his team at McDaniels, but if we don't have people out there talking about how positive an experience they have in this region, no amount of marketing, no amount of social media, billboards, advertising is going to help overcome that. Short-term goals, obviously, that'll take a longer time to really start to build that reputation of our region. But really is about attracting some of those folks. We already have seen it, right, in a very organic way. If you've heard the name Angie O or Angie Ostrovsky and what she's just been able to do with a TikTok account, we know that people are looking for places to live, and we want to make sure that they understand that the Greater Peoria area is one of those places. But we also know we need to do some training. We need to train people about how to talk about this region. So that's just another short-term goal, that we need to have influential people in our region, and everybody is an influential person about what they talk about. Lots of long-term measurements: how many business startups, how many housing new starts, what is our population growth per city. All of these are connected to our overall comprehensive economic development strategy, which itself is born out of the big table. So if you remember 2 years ago when we could get 700 people in a room in October of 2019, almost exactly 2 years ago, we started talking about what's great about this region, also recognizing what needs to be fixed. And from that, we have been developing our comprehensive economic development strategy that was just kind of adopted back in March of this past year. All of these are strategies that are within that plan. And sometimes we get a lot of blowback about plans that sit on shelves. This is an example of a plan not sitting on a shelf. This is a plan that is being worked, and it's being worked by these great partners. So just real quickly about McDaniels and why we selected them and how we selected them. We actually had a really robust competition. We issued an RFP. The organizations that were a part of this issued an RFP. And I think we had 8 or 9, and it was really good competition. We had great local firms that applied. We had a firm from Atlanta, we had a firm from Chicago, we had a firm from the Quad Cities. At the end of the day, it was the McDaniels company based in Pekin, Illinois, that really seemed to best understand our message and our goals, and be able to put forward a plan to execute on that vision. So I would like to introduce Randy. I always want to make sure it's Randy McDaniels. So it's obviously his company. Randy McDaniels, the president of McDaniels Marketing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate it. I can't be any more excited to be standing up here right now. And yeah, it was a tough competition, but hopefully as I go through this plan, you'll figure out why we were selected, and it's not just because we're from this area. So we really appreciate all the enthusiasm that's going on up here today and what we can accomplish. So I'm going to kind of take you through this entire plan in the Cliff Notes version of it, because otherwise we might be here for the next 3 hours. So what I'm going to share is our approach to making a difference with this Greater Peoria 2030 campaign. And what we're going to do is we're going to tell stories. We're going to tell stories of successful business startups and expansions. We're going to tell stories about singles, couples, and families who have moved to the area and made an impact and why they love it here. We're going to tell stories about growth and renewal that is occurring throughout our area, and it's not just in this area in the warehouse district, but it's everywhere, really. When you look at the square of Washington, you look at all the new restaurants in Morton, you look at all the residential opportunities all over the area, what they're doing in Havana. I say to Havana because we just worked with Havana and rebranded Havana. We're excited about that too. So there's a lot of positive things that are going on. We're also going to talk about the innovative and unique living spaces that are in their affordability in our area, and then the proximity, and this is a new key phrase we're all going to start to memorize, the proximity of what we call true urban and boundless country. So that's one of our core positioning lines that we're using to describe the Greater Peoria area. So what do we need to do? We need to attract a diverse array of talent. We know this, right? And yes, there are a lot of young people up on this screen. It's what every community wants, right? A lot of 21 to 45-year-olds. So we're not holding back. That's what we're going after. Those that can make a big difference now and for generations to come. Nothing against us older folks like me, but this is the core messaging and the core targeting that we're after. People like Alexander Martin, an outreach coordinator, moved here from West Virginia, an artist, performer, amazing individual. Kayla Phillips, we're going to develop a video on her. She's a graphic designer and business owner. She moved to Peoria from Kansas City, runs her own business from the Nest co-working site. So very innovative types of opportunities for people to work here. And these are just a couple just to scratch the surface. We envision telling stories about newcomers for years to come. This isn't just a short little 6-month campaign. Advertising, okay? So in terms of our emphasis on the actual advertising side of the equation, there's going to be major emphasis on digital. Most people jump to the internet to research communities. Based on our experience with tourism, and as a matter of fact, I did want to share that we've been working in tourism and work in live campaigns since 2003, and working with such names as Galena for 10 years. We just launched a new website for Lake of the Ozarks. So we have a lot of experience in communities in about a 6-state area. So we'd like to apply this expertise and experience to campaigns, and be able to apply that here makes a huge difference for me and all my colleagues at McDaniels Marketing. So part of that is digital, of course, and then the big reach of out-of-home advertising. So billboards will be well placed in Chicago, where commuters are wasting their time in traffic. As a matter of fact, this billboard is actually already running on 294 on a digital spot right there where they've got 294 all tore up right around the airport. So if anybody's been up to the airport lately, they know exactly what it looks like We don't have that amount of construction here right now, so that's all good. So this campaign's already underway. So the creative strategy of less traffic, more living is another key phrase that we're leading with. And it's been proven that, you know, the nice thing about living in this area, and I was born here, so I've been in here for a long time, but I do get out and I do get into some other areas, and the thing that I always tell everybody is I can get anywhere in like 20 minutes, unless there's a bridge closed down. See, but it's all redone and it's wide open, right? So we're really gonna emphasize the Murray-Baker Bridge in this campaign, and you'll see that by that brand new photo that's in the top of that digital ad, shot by Chris McGuire here locally, a photographer. So we're gonna build this campaign around facts. So not just fluff, but facts. And that's where a lot of the storytelling will come into play. And I'll also show you a landing page here in a minute that illustrates all the information that everybody's gonna be able to learn. So dispel myths, tell real stories of people, the Peoria metro area who live, work, and play in the region, why they love it, along with the stories that highlight the places and spaces that are in the state of renewal. So we'll invite Chicagoans, and yes, Chicago to start with, that's the key target audience, to consider the communities of the Greater Peoria area as an alternative. So less traffic, more living, true urban, boundless country. So let me show you the landing page. Everybody see that all right? Okay, so the landing page, and I shouldn't say landing page, it's actually multiple pages. It's a whole section. It's a whole set of content that's going to appear on Peoria.org, which is, of course, the Peoria Area Convention and Visitor Bureau's website. We decided to let that be the main hub of information. That site probably has more traffic than any of the other partner sites. It's more marketed, and we all know that people don't usually relocate to an area without visiting at least the very first time, or at least they don't sign the lease yet. They got to still be a visitor to start with, right? So we definitely want to encourage visitors to consider living here and working here and not just coming in and out of town for a weekend. So I'm just going to read you the opening of this because it's kind of inspiring. Discover the Greater Peoria area, true urban, boundless country. In the Greater Peoria area, building the life you want to live is always within reach. From true urban environs to small town charm to rural solitude, you'll find that transitioning from one speed to the next comes as easily as driving over the Murray-Baker Bridge. Learn more about what this diverse set of communities can offer you and start building the life you want in the Greater Peoria area. This is Greater Peoria. There'll be links to the communities, county information, there'll be stories and integrated videos from people like Alexander. And here's the kicker. So we'll also have information, and we'll continue to evolve this information in terms of fact-based why move here, right? And these are the kind of statistics that are driving a lot of the growth we're already seeing. There's a lot of people that are moving here that are probably in that middle income range. At least Angie has informed us of this, the TikToker, that a lot of people are moving here to try to get more out of their money, right? To be able to stretch a dollar, right? They might be struggling, might be doing okay, you know, living in a major urban area, but just okay maybe isn't good enough for them. So they want to be able to have a little less stress and be able to, you know, live in a place where they can afford a bigger place or just simply pay less for housing. That advantage alone is huge. And when you look at these charts that I have up on the screen, when you compare Chicago to the Peoria area on median square footage of a home, median listing price, price per square foot. Peoria is all the orange bars, obviously, right? So almost no comparison, but just to be able to really accentuate that is huge. If I were to put up the same bar graphs for like LA or Seattle or New York, they'd even be more dramatic, right? So lots of fun to be able to put these stats together because it kind of sells itself. And then we'll be able to provide other information on the amenities like the outdoors, food and drinks, quality health care, and then the urban and rural lifestyle that people can enjoy. We also highlight education and training. So when you really put this together and you lay this out on a page, it's really pretty amazing. When you look at the total education footprint that we have in this area, from Bradley to Eureka to ICC to Spoon River, and then we have UIC, we have St. Francis College of Nursing, we have Methodist College of Nursing, and of course Bradley also teaches nursing, so we can really train a lot of nurses here, right? And Midwest Technical Institute. So it's just a plethora of great education in addition to the grade school and high school levels. Something else we researched is that we've found that a lot of the newcomers, and these are the recent newcomers, are starting to talk about the fact that they can make a difference in this community faster than any other place. And the reason why, there's just not as many people. We have lots of nonprofits to volunteer for, lots of boards, lots of projects people can get involved with. When's the last time you heard about a waiting list in any one of our nonprofits, right? That's real in some bigger cities. It's hard to get on some of the boards you want to get on. Hard to make a little bit more of a difference when you got kind of a lot more people, right? Well, here they found that they can make a difference faster. There's a lot of opportunities for them to get involved. We also want to give them some definite information on how to put down their roots, so be able to prepare them to be able to live here, connect them with accessible resources, and then the EDC has a tremendous database of information on how to start a new business or even just relocate one here. So that's also going to be very helpful. And then there'll be additional links for information and also a form where they can fill that out, and we'll connect them with the right people as fast as possible to move that decision right along, whether it's about business, green space, existing buildings, something down here, or they just want to live here, and maybe they would just want to live here and work remote for somewhere else. So that's another huge trend that we're going to really encourage too. So that is the landing page, and I could probably spend even more time showing you more quality content, but just we'll be able to let you guys all check this out. The press release is going to go out this afternoon, and you'll be able to link into that and take a look at it more. So quickly, I'm going to go through a little bit more on the campaign, and then we're going to wrap up for questions. So the campaign target audience, again, is the Chicagoland area. And we're going to emphasize mid-income areas. We've actually studied the census data, the brand new census data for the Chicagoland area. And luckily, I have some friends and some of my Chicago clients. I was able to get that data very quickly. And we actually developed a heat map that actually allows us to target just those right individuals in the sweet spot of the income that we think we can attract. And those would be men and women 21 to 45. So what we're looking for people in their mindset of looking for a safe, lower cost community to visit and explore and possibly move to with sizable amenities, and we definitely have sizable amenities. Our time frame is going to be 2-3 month media flights, with the first launching, I say today, but really it's already launched, the billboard's already running, and the second launching March 2022. So that'll be a combination of SEO and search engine marketing. So we're going to be working hard on optimizing all the partner websites so they show up in Google searches when people really don't know where they want to move to. That's half the battle with Google, is that it's related search terms. So somebody might be just wanting to locate to a city near a river. They don't even know which river yet. How do we get the Greater Peoria area to show up in those kind of searches? And we're also going to feed them Google search ads when they use those terms as well. That'll be further supported by Google display advertising with some of the ads you see here, emphasizing the less traffic, more living, the story ads. We're going to be running Google display, Facebook, Instagram feed advertising, and then remember these 3 hashtags. Hashtag this is Greater Peoria, hashtag hello Peoria, and hashtag Greater Peoria. And again, the out-of-home advertising, digital and vinyl displays in highly traveled markets up in Chicago, supported by media and public relations efforts. So you'll probably notice once we get into next week, you're going to see this story blasted all over the PR Newswire. PR Newswire enables us to get into media outlets all over the nation and even beyond. So we'll automatically have link backs to all the partner sites in a very, very quick fashion by next week. We'll also be focusing on event activations, including grand openings and new developments as well. One last tactic, and it can't be any less important, is that we're going to start to educate influencers. So every market has issues a little bit with certain areas being overly recommended for people to be located in. And our objective is to really educate, the HR directors, the realtors, anybody that influences a decision by someone to locate in a certain community, and make this more about the Greater Peoria area. And I can't say it any better than that, Greater Peoria area. And be able to give them an opportunity to learn about all the positive things that are going on in every single community. And of course, that's based on participation. If a community doesn't turn anything into us to tell about, then they won't be involved. And I'm kind of putting a little pressure on people, but that we need the information, right? But as they turn in this information, we're going to pull together a toolkit and sit down, and on a regular basis, this is not just a one-time deal, this will be over a number of years, and continue to connect with the influencers of this area so they understand the total depth and breadth of the positivity that's going on, and why anybody would want to live down the street here, or in Pekin, Morton, Washington, Brimfield, wherever, right? So this is a really important component. Our campaign investment, $75,000. We're hoping that that will, of course, evolve over time and become greater. We might be able to look at other markets, but that's where we're at now, starting in September 2021 through June of 2022. In terms of campaign measurement, there's some key aspects that I'm just going to briefly cover. Our digital division enables us to measure this campaign very, very accurately in terms of the usual digital measurement of a web page, but we'll also be measuring behavior flow. So we'll be able to take a look at what type of information people are studying as they get into Peoria.org, and where they're going and what they're looking at and how effective that is, and how many inquiries we're getting from it. And then also look at how much earned media coverage we're getting and how much social media engagement we're seeing. Two more things that I'm really excited about. So everybody saw these t-shirts, right? Everybody's wearing these cool new t-shirts. So we were challenged to determine how could we really see the difference this campaign's making. And the only way we can really do that is talk to the target audience, right? And the target audience would be actual confirmed newcomers to the area. So what we have proposed and we've designed is we will start to have surveys being taken at real estate closings and lease signings. And of course, this is a part of the training with those individuals. And we'll offer incentives to newcomers, such as this t-shirt and some gift cards for local businesses that they can have, pretty much right on the spot, for telling us why they chose to come to the Greater Peoria area and why they chose a specific community. And these are a few of the questions here, and I won't go through them all, but it really comes down to, what influenced your decision the most? Did you recall seeing the campaign? So right in the survey, they'll be able to see the ads in the campaign, so we can really gauge that message recall and just have a better idea of, are we moving the needle? Because it's not just about a bunch of clicks to a website. We got to see if this is actually causing people to change their mindset, right, about living here and why. Same thing here, existing resident research. What about the sentiment of the current population? So, we talked about that a little bit earlier. Joshua talked about, Chris talked about, everybody's been talking about how do we get our own citizens to be the foot soldiers we need and that fan base, right? So when they're traveling around the country, we want to see them wearing shirts like this, where they actually wear Peoria shirts. When they go to South Carolina, right? Not always wearing somebody else's shirt. We want to see fans, okay? So how do we measure that? So all the partners are going to help us in this, and they're going to distribute a resident sentiment survey, and that way we can determine the net promoter score, which basically comes down to measuring the likelihood of why someone who already lives here, whether they've lived here 2 years, 17 years, whatever, would recommend the Greater Peoria area to someone else. So that also be very important data for us to collect, because I think you have to look at both sides of that. The newcomers can come and go. We've got to be able to retain population as quickly as we regain it. So that's really the big picture of this whole campaign. Questions for me or anyone else?
I'll start. Just to clarify, so I saw the figure of $75,000 for this first year. That seems like a fairly low number for as big of an effort a campaign as this. How much really is going to go in more into that?
Would you like to answer that? Yeah.
Joe, I should add you to our fundraising team. So glad you said that. Yeah, 75,000 was the initial investment that we were able to raise. And it's really driven by this collaborative that you see here, right? The chambers that are represented have made an initial investment, and chambers being an economic development corps and CVBs being nonprofits, right? We have what we have, but we thought something was better than nothing, and we also hope, and I don't know, I'm not afraid to say this, we hope that by putting some of our own skin in the game, that we can encourage others in the community to also invest. Because we can't do this on our own, and we certainly don't have the resources to do it on our own. What I said in my earlier remarks is I think this is, other than the basic like blocking and tackling stuff that we have to do every day in a city, keeping people safe and paving the roads, this is the most important thing that we can focus on. And I hope the rest of the community feels that way and will invest additional dollars.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
I have a question for anybody who wants to answer. Can someone elaborate on how a marketing campaign like this one can benefit all of Peoria, including areas like South Peoria and the East Bluff that have really, had some struggles in the last decade?
Happy to take a stab at that one too. JJ, thank you for the question. I'm happy you asked that question that way, because oftentimes when we talk about talent attraction, right, and in our industries, actually all of our industries, economic development, CVB, chambers of commerce, this is the topic of the day, talent attraction. On the front cover of Site Selector magazine this month was an article about how important it is for communities to attract talent. The president and CEO of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce today, as Chris said, he mentioned, the question that she answered was, what is the most important thing that Peoria should do or be focused on right now? And she said, talent attraction, right? This is the order of the day. But when you say that, people who are are already in the community tend to say, well, what about me, right? What does this have to do with me? Are you saying you don't want me here, you want other people here? And that's certainly not the case. What talent attraction does, quite simply, is it helps you grow your economy. People who move here will make additional investments. They'll buy homes. They'll spend money in businesses. They'll start businesses. They'll work at our businesses. And by and large, population growth makes communities better. So communities that are struggling economically, for instance, there's additional resources that, by virtue of those people just living here, come to those communities, whether they buy homes there or whether they patronize the restaurants or the salons, right? People that move to places need services and bring that revenue to support those services. So the ancillary economic benefit of population growth impacts all of us, as does the negative consequences of population decline.
And some of the metrics that that pointed out that you'll kind of look over. 10 years from now, what will make you look back at this campaign and say, you know what, that was a success?
Well, I think it'll be a success if we change we reverse the trend of population decline, first of all, and then we see new names, right? You can think of a lot of the names that are really famous, in the Greater Peoria area, and just look at one example. Look at all the Lebanese, right? They came to this country. Look what they've done. Think of all the names in Peoria, just that alone, right? LaHood, Shadid, I go down the list. What if there are a bunch of new names in 10 years that we've never heard of, right? That are making a huge impact, that are owning businesses. All the people that have come to this community that have made a huge difference, the Carl Cannons, I can go on and on and on. I think that's where we see the difference, is that in 10 years, if I'm still around, I'm meeting new people that have come here from somewhere else, and they've made this giant impact, whether it's a business, or they're in government, or they're in leadership, or education. I think that's what we want to see, and therefore, the economic impact of that will just spin off that, immeasurably. So thank you for that question. Yeah. Anyone else?
I'm gonna head off of that.
Yeah.
To add on to that point, we're looking at this population growth, residents and growth and economic impact that comes with it. But from our world of tourism, specifically in our department, we're looking at that positive sentiment. And there's ways to measure that positive sentiment that comes from communication. The more people talk positively, our own residents or visitors that come here, translates into thousands of more visitors. And really what we're looking at is we want more than just attendees now. Our role is to make sure those attendees become permanent attendees. We want them to become residents. And so aside from looking back at the census data, being conscious of a lot of things that affect population decline are ultimately out of our control in many areas, we do have a role to curb that, and that's where that is. So we'll be looking at population and resident, but also I think from my standpoint, Randy has the tools and technology to look at that sentiment of how these campaigns are working to engage more positive communication, not just from our residents, but people outside to continue that. Because there is a residual effect to positive conversation leads to positive action. And if we can get that sometimes we can't measure that ultimately, but we get as much data as we can on that.
Thank you, JD. Anyone else?
You kind of talked about like a 10-year goal or seeing results and all that. And getting back to that amount that you funded just for this first year, within 1 year, how do you see an impact being made so that the campaign can extend beyond what you've raised so far?
Well, I think it's very measurable. I think we have all the tools in place to be able to measure this effort, in addition to what organizations like the Greater Peoria EDC has in place. It's not going to be difficult for us to measure the impact in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. When you look at all the different data points that we're looking at measuring, it's not going to be difficult. The impact of one new business, one new startup, one new relocation, the impact of, you may think about the economic generation factor of one individual family that gets involved in numerous ways, right? It's not going to be difficult, I think, based on the way we have this set up. But we do have a challenge ahead of us to be able to sustain this. And I think the commitment's here to do that. Want to add to that?
Yeah, just a little bit, because despite being a large regional collaboration, many of the entities here across the region are doing this day to day along the greater effort. So key performance indicators include population growth, but quality of our workforce. There's EDC. You got home ownership. That's not my world, but we're all working towards doing that. Regional GDP, resident sentiment, so talking about new housing startups, even just training, more hotel motel tax coming in, generating that revenue. We're doing that on a daily basis that adds to the general whole picture. So as we continue our missions and our purposes within our own organizations, it really is rallying around this, this regional effort here. And to that point, the 75,000 is a great starting point. I know some of our cities in Illinois are coming at much higher than that out of the gate. We're not the only ones in Illinois trying to do this, to be conscious of that. But these organizations stepped up to do it right out of the gate, putting our skin in the game. But what really makes it a regional approach is our partners like Pekin, East Peoria, Morton, Washington. Without them, that's truly making it regional. And so as we continue to train our HR individuals and our realtors within our own communities that we have dinner with or drinks or our kids go to school together, that's where it really comes in. And so we're walking the walk as well as talking the talk here. And it really starts with our surrounding communities to step up and join us for this effort as well. So to that, we look to grow that in the years to come. It has to grow. We know that. And so we're working to make sure that everyone understands the collaborative effort moving forward that is a lockstep towards a common goal. And the more we do that, the more we communicate with our residents and our organizations around the area, the more I hope we can build that to sustain a larger campaign moving forward. Anything else to add?
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit. Yeah, a bunch of chamber folks. We could talk for a long time, huh? I'll add sort of the, I know we love to talk about metrics, Joe, but, right away, what I think we'll start to feel is the positive momentum around Greater Peoria, right? I mean, you guys know I moved here a year ago, right? And what I'd like to see happen quickly is when I meet people and I tell them that I moved to Peoria, less people saying, why in the world would you do that, right? Because part of this work is also about retaining people and getting a lot of the work that we do sometimes is selling Peoria to Peorians or selling Greater Peoria to people in the region. So I think the initial turnaround of starting to see Peoria on a big billboard in Chicago makes us feel good about the fact that our region is represented on a big stage, or making a magazine or a major website or blog. That's going to start to make the Greater Peoria region and people here feel better about being here, and that has an amazing impact, right? I saw that happen in my hometown, right? We started to get small wins, and then those small wins turn into big wins, and all of a sudden, everyone loves the place. But when I was a kid, no one loved it, right? So as we start to turn around that attitude internally, I think the measurable wins will come. But being honest, it's the first year, and this is a big effort. It's a 10-year strategy. I'll be really happy if we all feel really good about where we're going after year one, and also instill this true spirit of regionalism, which I can't stress enough. A win for Pekin is a win for Peoria, and a win for Washington is a win for East Peoria. And if we can engender that spirit of regionalism, I'll feel like we've had a successful first year.
Happy to answer any more questions. I know we've been here a long time, and I'll be happy to conclude here just with a couple observations. As we talk about those billboards, I will tell you from last night, I was traveling back from Chicago. I was in standstill traffic at 10:30 p.m. Those billboards are right there. I didn't think I'd be stuck in traffic at 10:30 at night, but you can be in Chicago, and that's who those are targeting. So I saw it. Again, it's been fun to regrow the Bureau as well, and I reflect on our efforts here to bring people to the region, aside from people who've grown up here our whole lives, like myself, like my wife, like Mackenzie Taylor, CJ Goddard, other people on staff, but we've also been able to recruit people from all over the world, and so we have that here on our staff as well, from Tokyo to New Hampshire to Michigan to San Antonio, have all chosen to move to Peoria for the common good of building this destination. So reflecting upon our own organization, I'm glad to have that, and I know each of our organizations can tell those same stories, and we're looking to amplify them. With that, again, big thank you to John Morris. What a talk about a community leader. Thank you for hosting us here today at your wonderful museum. Our elected officials and those that step up and serve, thank you. So many organizations. That's where I'm going to conclude with here for all of us. On behalf of us standing up here, the faces that I get to see here today, it was really refreshing to see us in a group, but the community passion, and it's represented in so many organizations here. I'm not as good as John to name out everybody in the organizations, but I see all of you. He could do a great job in doing that. But this is the passion and the drive that we have. And we talk about a riparian life, as I've touted before. What we see here is what's going to drive this and make it successful. And I can't thank you enough for being here today. And happy to answer any other questions on the side, but looking forward to the conversation ahead. To my colleagues, anything else to add? With that, thank you so much.